Hi guys, welcome back to the Blue Hair Review. Today I'm going to be giving my full in-depth review of the church on Ruby Road. Now, it was great to see the return of the Christmas Day episodes. I will miss the New Year's Day episodes though because I did really enjoy them. I feel like January the 1st, New Year's Day, there's not much to look forward to, so knowing Doctor Who was on was always something to look forward to, and it was a great way to start off the year as well. And I did generally really enjoy the New Year's Day episodes, so it's a shame that they're gone, but we got the Christmas Day episodes back and I've really enjoyed that as well. It would be really cool if we could have something like the end of time where we have half Christmas Day, half New Year's Day, but never mind. Anyway, today I'm going to be doing my full in-depth review of the church on Ruby Road, so without no further ado, let's get started. Now, the first scene I felt really set the tone for the episode. It was extremely Christmassy and I absolutely loved it. The church, the snow, the music playing, it was just really fitting and I really got in the mood for this Christmas Day episode. Because going in from what I've seen of the 60th anniversary and also the 15th Doctor, I really wasn't too sure. But this really got me into it straight away. And the whole episode itself was actually really enjoyable. So this was a really great start to it. Then we go on to the titles. Now, I've spoken about the titles so many times before. I just don't like them. I don't like the theme, and the actual title sequence itself does look cool, but I don't think it's very fitting. And I would have loved to see more of a change of the. Personally, I would have actually liked to see a completely different title sequence, but I would have liked to see a bit more of a change between the 14th and 15th Doctor's title sequence. It feels almost identical, except the names have changed and the names sort of move about a bit different. So that's a great shame, but never mind. But to be honest, that's one of the only complaints I actually have with this episode. So that's a great sign. Straight after the title sequence, we had obviously Davina with Ruby. I really liked that scene as well because it was great to see it sort of filmed behind the scenes, just the way they made it, how it was, and it was just really cool how they done it all. And hearing a bit about Ruby's life, I thought that was quite cool how they did that, giving the audience a bit of backstory to Ruby. And like I said in my initial thoughts, having Davina McCall in there doing one of those shows just feels so real. It really feels like Doctor is in the real world. So I really like these touches. And throughout the episode, obviously, you have the goblins making the mischief as well and causing havoc. I really like that as well. So silly, but very fitting for Christmas, and so Doctor as well. It was also really nice how we got to see Ruby with her friends as well. That was a different side we got to see, and her playing and performing what she does sort of in her spare time. I don't know if that's actually her job. That hasn't really been explained, but that was really enjoyable seeing that. And then also I liked how in the bar they sort of notice each other, the Doctor and Ruby. I'm still not sure about the Doctor dancing though, because for me it doesn't feel very Doctor-y in a club doing that. Yes, he's been to a club and yes, he's sort of danced before, but just in the club and how he was dancing just feels very different to me. So I'm not saying it's wrong, but just for me it doesn't feel very Doctor-y, so I'm not too sure about that scene. But when they actually meet in the bar and he says, oh no, it's more than that, Merry Christmas, I did like that. But it's just the dancing I'm not 200% on. In the episode, for me, there felt like there was a couple final destination scenes. The snowman almost falling, and then Davina with the tree, the way it just cuts off when it's about to hit her. I was like, oh my gosh, wow. So I really like those scenes. And going back to the actual scene with the snowman, I really like how the Doctor's theme was playing while he was changing the lights. And then straight after that police officer scene, I thought that was really lovely. The way he said, she's going to say yes, and I think it's a woman, and the Sonic as well, detecting the diamond ring and everything. I just really loved all of that, and that was so nice and just so. It felt very doctorish, and it was just such a lovely sort of heartwarming thing for a Christmas Day episode. So I really did like that as well, and just the way the Doctor described himself. I'm the Doctor, occupation, not a doctor. All of that felt very doctory, so yeah, that was another really enjoyable scene. A very small thing that I really enjoyed was actually seeing the London bus and Ruby getting off it. That felt extremely Londony, and I thought they did a really good job at making that feel like London, even though it wasn't. I think it was probably Cardiff or somewhere like that in Wales. But they did really well making it feel very Doctor Who-y. And Mrs. Floods, we get to meet her first. At first, I didn't think anything unusual about her. I must admit, the bit at the end, I'll talk about that a bit more later, but the bit at the end I just thought was a bit weird. I didn't think it was anything sort of unusual, but I will actually be doing a full video on her eventually because there's some very interesting things going on with her. So I'm really looking forward to finding out more about her. If there is something to find more about her, I think there might be. So I'm really looking forward to finding out more about her. So her character is very interesting indeed. Then we have people like Ruby's mum. Ruby's mum was very sweet, very kind, very lovely. I really like her. And it was great to see the contrast of where when Ruby's out of her life, how dark she's saying, oh, she only does it for the 800 quid. So it was quite a nice change to see that. But Ruby's mum, when Ruby's with her in her life, is really lovely and I really like her. The Nan, as I said in my initial thoughts, I'm not too sure on. She seems very... I know this is her character. She seems very, like, moody and always demanding tea and all that business. So I wouldn't say I really like her at the moment. But the mum is really nice, so at least we've got that. And it's great to have that family unit again. And it's a nice change as well to see a foster family. All the other families have sort of had, like, yeah, sometimes they haven't had a dad or something like that. Or the dad has died or something like that. But it's great to actually see a different family unit, sort of very different. So it's nice to see that as well. So it's great to see that. And the mum and Ruby get on lovely, so it's really nice to see that sort of family unit. This episode played on coincidences, and I really did love that, how they did that. And I loved the coincidence they did with the Timeless Child. Again, the Timeless Child wasn't mentioned, but you know they were talking about it. It's always great to see Doctor Who reference its past and sort of link back, make it feel not too separated from Doctor itself, but still feeling very new. So I really did like that scene as well. So yeah, the coincidence thing was very cool, and actually the Doctor sort of mentioned the Timeless Child again and making sure it's not being forgotten beyond the 60th was very cool. One tiny nitpick I have with the episode itself, which is very small, was for a brief second you see the picture of Ruby, and obviously us fans will know that's sort of like from one of the photo shoots they done. I just felt it looked very fake and very obvious. I wish they used a picture from Millie Gibson's actual life instead of that one, because I just felt like it looked very fake and very silly. So one tiny nitpick, but I just wanted to mention that because I really didn't like that. A cool feature used throughout this episode quite a few times with the gloves. It was such a cool invention and a really great idea. I really do like how that was used a few times, but during that scene there is something that I really don't like, and that was the mention of the word Mavity. Now, I did like it in Wild Blue Yonder as a one-off and something silly, but the fact that they've continued it, I just feel like it's really stupid. I don't understand why they've done that. I don't find it very funny. Wild Blue Yonder, yeah, it was very fitting just for that one episode, but to have it beyond the 60th and in this new era calling it Mavity, it's just, yeah, they're linking it back to the 60th anniversary, but it's just really stupid. I just don't like that at all. So yeah, the mention of Mavity I really wasn't keen on. Where we learn the goblins are time riders, I really like that and how there's a separation from time riders and time travellers. Now moving on to the actual musical scene, I did actually really like the song, and I think the song is very fitting, very silly with the goblins. Again, it feels very fitting. But the moment the Doctor started singing in Ruby, I was a bit like, I'm not too sure about this. For the pure reason I'm not a musical fan. I once watched the series of Buffy and I saw the musical episode and I just could not finish it because I found it extremely boring. So I'm not a musical person at all. And to see the Doctor and Ruby singing it felt very out of place. Again, not very Doctor Who. I like the goblins doing it, but the moment the Doctor and Ruby got involved, I wasn't too sure about that. On the plus side though, I did like the look of the Goblin in this scene and just the Goblin King in general. I thought it looked very cool. But back to that whole musical thing, I'm just not 100% in it, and I think we might be getting a musical episode in the next series. So if that does happen, I know starting now that I'm really not going to enjoy it. So I do hope music, whilst I do like the inclusion of music in Doctor Who, and I think it's great, when the Doctor and Ruby start singing along, I just feel like it just completely turns me off of it. So I'm hoping that there will be more music in the next series, like they did, for example, with the Toy Maker and this scene with the goblins. But I don't really want the Doctor and Ruby involved because then it just doesn't feel very right and feels a bit theatrical, not very Doctor Who. So I'm hoping in the future that there is more music, but just the Doctor and Ruby aren't involved in it. One of my all-time favourite scenes in this episode was actually when Ruby disappears, when the goblins come back and the crack goes through the roof. That really did remind me of the crack in the wall, and it's very fitting and very funny how that crack happens and Ruby disappears. Again, it's not related to any way, shape or form to the actual crack in the wall from Series 5 onwards, but it was quite a cool sort of connection that I sort of noticed. But what I really loved was when Ruby disappeared. This is such a great concept, something I've always wanted to see in Doctor Who. And actually, it really reminds me of Primeval. One of my favourite storylines, well, my favourite storyline in Primeval was a scene where someone disappears and they never come back. Whilst Ruby did come back, it was great to see her disappear and her just sort of move out of time for a moment and see the difference in her mum and her grandmother and everything. So I really did like this scene, and then the Doctor going back in time to fix it. I just really loved this, and it was a great touch to the episode. And I would love to see more of this in the future where, you know, someone disappears and it has to sort of be fixed, especially if it's a companion or something like that. So it was really cool, that scene, and I really did love that. One very small reference that I absolutely loved was for a split second in that scene on the fridge where the 33 foster kid picture should be. is actually a picture of a leaflet from MTO Road Pizza place. Now, I really love this reference back to Series 1 in The Passing of Ways, where Mickey actually mentioned the Minto Road new pizza place. So it was really cool little reference for us fans, and I really did love that because, of course, Ruby actually lives on Minto Road, which is a great reference back to Series 1. So, again, I love that. Again, the Doctor being a time traveller, going back to that first scene in the beginning of the episode. Again, really enjoyable. I liked how he went back in time and sort of fixed it with Ruby, and the gloves only had 3%, and the music was playing, and he sort of brought down the ship, and the spike went through the Goblin King of the church. Really thrilling watching again, and really lovely. I'm quite surprised the Doctor actually never went up to Ruby's mum. I feel like that's definitely not the last we're going to see of Ruby's mum, because I really do feel like we're going to see more of her in the future, because I was sort of half surprised that the Doctor actually never went up to her and actually tried to find out who she was. But again, I feel like that's because that's not the last we've seen of her. So I do look forward to finding out, hopefully, who her actual mum is. Now, as mentioned, Mrs. Flood is such an unusual, interesting character, because the way she's sort of like normal, and I feel like the moment she changes is actually when she sees the Tardis dematerialise. That's in the episode where she sort of shifts, and then she sort of wishes Ruby good luck, like she knows what's going to come ahead of time. And then also the way in the titles where it ends and then it fades back and then it cuts to her saying never seen a TARDIS before and winks. I actually personally thought it was a reference to the first ever Christmas episode. No, I mean the first ever Christmas episode where it's with the first Doctor and he sort of addresses the camera. I thought it was just like a little sort of reference. So when I started talking to my friend, the Olliverse, that's when he sort of pointed out to me that he thinks that it's something more interesting, and looking into it, it actually does seem like it's something more interesting than just a silly one-off thing. So that's quite interesting. Again, I'll be doing a video on Mrs. Flood soon because she's such an interesting character and there is a lot to sort of theorise about her. So I will be doing a video on her soon because she is such an interesting character and I really look forward to finding out more about her. As always, it's very enjoyable seeing the companions sort of discover the TARDIS for the first time and seeing it's bigger on the inside. It was such a shame we never actually got to see Ruby say it's bigger on the inside. Something we never really got in the Chibnall era and we haven't really gotten in the RTD2 era. So it's a shame, but apart from that, it was a really enjoyable scene. I liked how the Doctor said, "I'm the Doctor," but I would have liked a bit more, like a little, just a really tiny mini speech of him just saying a bit more. Because I feel like him saying "I'm the Doctor" and it cut into the titles, it just ended very abruptly. I know we got a little scene afterwards with Mrs. Flood, but it just felt like it ended very abruptly. So I would have liked just a bit more. But I do actually feel like the episode, Series 14, Episode 1, is going to actually continue straight from the Christmas Day episode from what I've seen in the trailer so far. Which I will actually be doing a sort of like theorising breakdown video of the trailer, probably in the new year. So I'll be going more in depth on that. But yeah, that scene was quite cool, so yeah, really enjoyable. Something that the Chibnall era did really well was when they sort of faded out from the titles back to a scene, the way the music did it. And again, in this episode, in the Church on Ruby Road, it really worked well, the way the music sort of faded back to the scene. It just sounds great, so I really love that. So now, with my initial thoughts, I actually rate this episode a 7 out of 10, a solid 7 out of 10. I feel like it should actually deserve some more. I'm going to give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. Maybe a stretch an 8, but 7.5 out of 10 because this was a really enjoyable episode and actually it's really set me up for the future series, the new series of Doctor in May, because I'm really excited. I was very apprehensive going in, but after seeing that and how it was written, it was very enjoyable. I really hope Russell T Davies sort of continues how it's been in this episode. If the rest of Series 14 goes along the lines of how this one has with the Doctor and with Ruby and just like stories in general, I would be very happy. I'm hoping that it will, because so far it's sort of like left me with a really good taste in my mouth of Doctor Who, and I'm really looking forward to May. And actually the May date itself, I was very pleased with. I did expect it to be somewhere around April, so to have it in May is extremely exciting because that's only 5 months away, so really not long at all, but really enjoyable, and I'm so looking forward to the new series. Now, of course, this was the first episode, full episode with the 15th Doctor, and I must say, I enjoyed his character a lot more than I thought I would. He is a lot more Doctor-y than I thought he would be. I know they were sort of going in a sort of direction where he's quite different. So he's different, but he's not too different. So again, I'm really enjoying him more than I thought I would. I wouldn't say that he's like a great Doctor for me. He is a great Doctor, but for me personally, my preference of the Doctor, I wouldn't say he's there yet. He might be in the future, but he is doing a great job, and actually Shooty himself is doing a brilliant job. So I really enjoyed it, and yeah, really great scene. And I really hope the way the 15th Doctor has been in the Christmas Day episode sort of continues again onto the new series. If he isn't too different, then I feel like I will continue to enjoy him, and he doesn't feel too different from the Doctor. He feels a new version, but not too different. So I really hope they continue that as well. And Ruby, I'm really looking forward to seeing more of her. I really enjoy her character. I knew I would because I enjoyed her in Coronation Street, and I was really pleased about her casting announcement. So again, I look forward to seeing more of them. And actually, at the moment, their friendship sort of reminds me of their relationship. Sort of reminds me of a different version of the 12th Doctor and Clara. So I'm really looking forward to more of that sort of friendship relationship in the TARDIS, that very strong bond. So I'm hoping we get to see a lot more of that in the new series, but I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, in total, I really enjoyed this Christmas Day episode. It really did feel like a positive step up from the Doctor's 60th anniversary, because in total, the 60th anniversary for me was a mixed bag. But this Christmas Day episode has given me a lot of hope for the new series, and I feel like it's a great way to round up 2023's Doctor Who, and I have really enjoyed it. I just really hope the new series really does sort of like keep up with these high standards that I feel like it's set. So I'm really enjoyed it so far, and I just really hope it continues. But what I'd love to know is what you guys thought. Did you enjoy the Christmas Day episode? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments below. And as you might have seen behind me, I've got a TARDIS, and when and hopefully if I get 500 subscribers, I'm going to be doing a video on how I made it and how you can make your own. So if you enjoyed the video, I would love to see that. Then make sure you're subscribed. But thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed. And this is actually probably going to be my last video of 2023. So I hope you all have an absolutely brilliant new year, and I look forward to seeing you in the new year, and I'm going to do a very special video as it marking 1 year of my YouTube channel. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully see you in my next video soon, and I hope you all have a brilliant new year. Anyway, take care guys, and see you in 2024.